Let's talk about representation. Let's talk about movies. Let's talk about the fact that a very small but very loud section of the internet likes to hate things because, well, I don't know why they hate them. I can make snarky aspersions to why there is so much hate out there for movies like Ghostbusters, The Last Jedi, or as Kyle has been experiencing lately, Ocean's 8. So,
yeah.
Kyle, really?
Yeah, this one's been fun, like right out of the gate. Yeah.
Ocean's 8, all female cast.
Yeah,
I mean,
Ocean's
besides maybe
8,
a couple
and
of
all
guys, but...
an all female cast, and yeah,
wildly talented female cast too.
Like, an extremely talented female cast. It's a terrific cast. Yeah, no, I've gotten so much shit for just
supporting it and enjoying it.
For just putting out a review that says, "Hey, this is a well-made, good movie." It's a fucking good movie. God damn it.
Let's reword that. You are getting hate for liking something. You are getting hate for enjoying something that somebody else does not enjoy.
Yeah. What amazes me is
just real quick. Has this been released to the public yet?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of these commenters hadn't seen the movie yet.
Right. It only.
Oh, we're gonna get to
released
that
on Friday, and I am pretty sure that nobody who's posted any comments,
has actually
any of these negative comments, actually went out opening day to watch the movie. Really?
Kyle,
so,
was this Oscar worthy?
Was it
ignoring?
No, don't give it that much credit. Come on. You know what the Academy's looking for, and they're not looking for it in this movie.
If it was men, would this be Oscar worthy?
No.
Okay, then it's
there
not.
You go.
Then it's not. Was it fun? Did you enjoy the film?
Yes, I did.
Is there a lot of films that are fun to watch that are not Oscar worthy?
Yeah.
Tank Girl,
yeah,
my favorite movie of all time. Tank Girl, shitty movie. Fucking love that flick though.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a theme that pops up in a lot of the comments that we're seeing. Yeah, SJW, feminism, men are being made into a lesser class at all, but I'm going to speculate on exactly what I think the issue is. You guys are free to agree with me or disagree with me. But dudes are afraid.
Yeah, they are.
Yes.
Like there's nothing wrong with being afraid as long as you can learn to overcome this said fear.
Understand where the fear occurs.
Yeah.
Because, okay, I'm going to get a little bit into my PTSD here.
Go for it.
I live with fear, like pretty much constantly. Like my life is fear. Not entirely, but fear is a common theme throughout my life. I have an intimate relationship with fear is how I put it. So there are times when I will experience fear and it's valid. There is a real threat and I need to address it. There are other times I will experience fear and it is invalid. It is an irrational fear.
The shorts thing you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about that where you were saying that for no reason at all, like this was this kind of thing. I'm not saying your trigger was shorts. I'm just trying to say that you are getting should I continue because this person is wearing shorts, kind of thing where we were talking about. Anyway,
yeah.
I'm sorry. I blueberried you there. Go back into what you're talking about.
So I will experience fear in perfectly secure relationships. For instance, my best friend, who has been my best friend for a few years now. And my relationship with her is very secure and she has given me no reason to fear it. I will randomly fear that our relationship is about to fall apart. There's no evidence for it. There's no reason for me to believe it, but my brain experiences fear. And then on the other side, I will be on a date and the date pushes boundaries that are absolutely crossed. Like I set my boundaries and they crossed them. And then I experienced the same kind of fear. It feels the same. I know what my PTSD feels like. I know when I can identify it's a PTSD fear. It's kind of overwhelming on both fronts, right? But I can go, there's a reason for this fear, and then I'm just afraid of the existential loss.
Yeah.
And they're both tied into the same psychological experience. But the thing is that there is one, and this is exactly why PTSD is an evolutionary trait, because it was trying to protect me from continued trauma. And therefore, any risk of trauma can trigger the same fears. But in treatment, I learned how to identify what is really fear. And so I identify real fears versus irrational fears versus irrational fears and can process them going forward. This is what men are, especially cishet white men, are dealing with right now. They are feeling fear, but they are not doing the work of going, why am I feeling this fear? Sorry, I was getting to a point.
No, it's
I know
fine.
it took a long time, but I had to give it context.
Yeah.
So back to my spiel. I was trying to say that being constantly afraid of what you perceive as not being represented anymore in movies, video games, whatever the fuck it may be, that is squarely inversed with the fact that people of color and, minorities are starting to gain more representation because, they're actual parts of the fucking world, people.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
Look
we
at
have less
the percentage. Look at the percentage of, white folk in the world versus people of color. I mean, and I'm including people of color as being people from India, people from China, people
Literally anyone not white.
Not white.
Right.
Yes, non-Caucasian. Let's just get there. It's vast smaller numbers. So why shouldn't media reflect how the world really is?
Mm-hmm.
Especially since America's main export is our culture.
Exactly. And so Ghostbusters is a tough one. I'm sorry, hang on. Let me get back to my other line I was going to say here. Look at Black Panther. Pretty goddamn good movie.
Excellent movie. In
Excellent
fact.
movie. Fantastic.
It doesn't have to have
Beautifully-
white characters in it for you to like it.
No,
it was
no.
a damn good movie, and it gives a whole generation of people of color something to look up to for generations to come.
It was a beautiful film with excellent narrative.
That is going to be a shockwave. I mean, a ripple that we're not going to see fully realized until 15 years from now, when some kid that grew up with that movie is an adult, and they're going to say, what inspired you to do this, or what inspired you to do that? Because that was a very pro-science movie. It was a pro-inclusionary movie, pro-opening up to the world movie.
Also pro-traditionalism, back to our African roots, because we all have African roots.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, there's a lot of poetry in that film.
And so we have not begun to see what that's going to cause as a ripple in time on this one. Ghostbusters for me is a tough one because I thought it was an okay comedy. Just like you're talking about Ocean's 8. Okay movie, not perfect, not the best. Does it beat the OG Ghostbusters? I think you're comparing two different movies at that point, because the original Ghostbusters was a comedy, but it wasn't just a comedy. It was a lot of serious that was going on there. This Ghostbusters was slapstick. It was modern day slapstick.
And also, I, as a woman, I derived a lot of meaning from it. And you know what? Just in my ongoing, you can criticize things that I love. There's a lot of valid criticism on that movie. It.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah. I still like the Ghostbusters reboot too.
Yeah.
I thought it was goddamn hilarious.
I thought it was funny as hell. The thing is,
was it brilliant? No.
Oh,
but guess what?
No,
it's Paul Feig.
Women-led movies don't have to be brilliant. They don't have to subvert every part of our culture. They don't have to challenge every idea.
They can just be fun. They can just be fun.
They can just be
thing
okay.
that people don't quite get with this whole argument out here. A lot of people that are complaining about that movie in particular.
Yeah.
Most of them were around or grew up with the original Ghostbusters.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, by the way, hard conservatism. Go back and watch that movie. It's weirdly Reaganomic.
Oh, very much, yeah.
Oh yeah, when he decides like, oh yeah, we need to fuck over this hotel owner just to make our bills get paid for once, you know.
Oh, or my personal favorite, where he says, "You've only existed in the private sector or in the public sector. You don't know. You have to actually do real work in the private sector." Like, shut the fuck up. Like,
so anyway, most of the people born after, let's say 93, 92, something like that, because you had Ghostbusters came out like in 82, 83 or something like that. So it's something their parents, if they enjoyed it, was going to show their kids growing up.
Right.
Post that, this is the only Ghostbusters probably they knew about, and they probably went back and watched the old ones getting ready for it, or to play the video game. Video game's fucking legit. I'm not going to lie. The Ghostbusters video game was great.
The cartoon, was it the real
Ghostbusters?
I loved it.
That was a good cartoon.
Oh,
yeah.
Solid.
That cartoon
Ecto Cooler was my favorite high C for years. Years.
It actually like had like scary episodes, like the Jersey Devil scared the shit out of me. Stuff.
So anyway, does replacing the whole cast with women ruin the old movie? No,
it doesn't do jack
it doesn't.
The old movie.
It doesn't have any.
It still exists, and you can watch it again and again and again. When they made the new Ghostbusters and said, we're rebooting it, they didn't say, and we're going to shred the originals and never release it on video ever again. You know?
Yeah.
That's not what happened. Last Jedi, good God, people immediately started off about Rose and Laura Dern's character, the Admiral of the Rebel Fleet.
They were fantastic characters. They were great characters.
If you replaced either of them with men,
it wouldn't work.
Nobody would give a shit. They would have called them inspirational. They would have called them, so vulnerable.
But the characters wouldn't work. The characters.
Rose was the every woman, the every character. She was the Mary Sue that we brought ourselves into the movie as, you know. But not Mary
I'm
Sue.
saying that's what I'm saying. If you'd put a man in that exact same position, in our current societal situation, maybe it wouldn't have worked, but ultimately it would have worked. Ultimately, it would have been a completely valid use of a character. And
I mean, there are ways you could make it work, but
my point being that it was simply their womanness.
Yeah. So let me wrap it up here. This is my last paragraph of my.
Even though we're making a reaction video in which we're like, "That's fucking funny."
Yeah, but they'd stop it line by line and be like, well, actually, you know, she can't be the protagonist because the Star Wars story is about the Skywalker lineage. I don't understand why they think that they can do this. It's like, oh my God, fucking die.
No, yeah. By the way, by the way, her parents were Skywalkers.
Let's support the idea that genetics inherently makes some people better. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure.
Let's just keep doing that thing.
I don't know.
Anyway,
the Skywalkers have kind of fucked shit up.
Okay, so I actually want to talk about this a little bit.
All of them slightly cunty. I'll tell you that right now.
Like, your lineage therefore makes you better. It's in Lord of the Rings. It's in Star Wars. It's this idea that lineage somehow has some sort of
matters. Yeah.
Except Bilbo. Bilbo was kind of a nobody, and he was a great character that we got to experience things through.
Aragorn was
he's the son of the king.
Yeah. So now we're subverting this, right? The idea that your genetics somehow make you special. And
that's why I loved Willow. Willow was one of my favorite movies because it was just an adventure of a short little person that had no special talents except for like sleight of hand and farming. That's all he had.
Great. That's a great message.
Great fucking adventure. I love that movie.
It was a great movie.
Okay, so funny thing, I actually tie that memory to the idea of tomato soup. It's I had a babysitter who showed us that movie while she served us tomato soup. And so, like, to me, I'm like, those two things are super comforting in my idea.
So anyway, let me wrap this one up here. It says,
go ahead.
We can't say for certain that there's really no sign of this being abated anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
I only wish we could somehow help folks understand that representation is important for all folks in the world. The majority of people in the world, you know, which the movie industry is quickly turning into a worldwide thing. It's no longer just an American
very
thing.
much so, yeah.
That are not the most of the world is not American dudes, fellas. You need to understand that most of the world doesn't doesn't kin to your line of shit. You know,
Mhm.
there's a reason you're seeing more Asian characters in movies because China likes to have their characters people put in the movies so
Economic impact.
Yeah, I know it's bullshit, but you gotta have money to pay for this shit. But
no, the thing is that representation is wonderful,
Mhm.
and I'd like seeing more Asian characters getting heroic roles. I'd like to see more Black people because anti-Blackness is because I don't know if people know this, but China participated in the slave trade, the Atlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
So I mean, anti-Blackness, it's entirely bizarre that our entire species is born out of black skin, and yet anti-Blackness is the norm. But you know what? Asian Americans deal with a lot of problems too. They do, and really quick, hitting on some statistics. So Asian Americans who are from here and not immigrants to here actually face similar problems to Latinos and Black people in discrimination and poverty. But Asian Americans who come from India and China as immigrants are usually coming from economically advantageous groups already, and therefore they already had access to privilege, and therefore they get kind of a pseudo white privilege, kind of like or buddy with them, but they're still not white. But the idea being that representation is important, and I love seeing Asian Americans and Asian folk at all being glorified in American media. But I need to see it done better. I still need it to be done better. And honestly, I don't know how we're going to fix this without dismantling capitalism.
Last
which isn't going to happen in my
so,
lifetime. So fuck it, I'm drinking more wine.
So please don't think that you're being genocided because they gave the role slated for a guy to a female Black lady, or if they actually give, people of color roles instead of the Caucasian actor. You're still represented quite well in movies and TV and video games. Just calm the fuck down. Enjoy the narrative. Enjoy the story. Give fuck all about who's playing a character, man.
I got a better one. You not being the dominant actually gives you power. Now, listen to me. Listen to me, white man. I know. You feel like you are required to be dominant, and you have to reach this impossible place of masculinity and perfection, but you don't.
You're never gonna reach it.
What if, through inclusion, you get to experience deep emotional connection and actual personhood without a representation of personhood, and you actually get to emotionally connect with people who are different from you and intellectually engage in ideas that are not your own experience, and therefore create deeper, meaningful connections, and therefore deeper sexual connections. And
nope, because I'm an incel.
Fuller experience that allows you to live life more fully, although less grandurely than you previously conceived. Because here's the thing: most white men listening, we're gonna give us
shitty comments. I'm sure.
Shitty comments, but just if you're still listening, good on ya. You're not ever going to be famous. You're not ever going to be wealthy. Sorry, the system is fuck you. You're just not gonna it's just not gonna happen.
Oh yeah, we're reminded of that every week, wherein they're like, "Oh, Utah Outcast, you have X amount of videos and only 1,100 subscribers." It's like, yeah, I don't fucking care.
Yeah, no, we amateur in the best sense. But what if, just what if, your life could hold more meaning personally rather than existentially to connection to human beings through self-evaluation and accepting the experience of others, and therefore a wider sense of connection. I'm just saying, I'm not selling perfection. I'm selling
To play
Meaning. I'm selling meaning. I'm selling meaning. I'm selling meaning that comes from yourself and through engaging with people without a structure of dominance.
Yeah.
Oh,
Now-
that's ugly.
to
That's
play
ugly.
to play
Oh.
shitlord advocate here.
Uh-huh.
That
do.
sounds like a lot of work. I would rather shit post on 4chan than actually put in any
yeah,
effort
I have
into
to
improving
work.
myself.
You have to do
Yeah,
work. You have to do work
it's
on it.
really hard. Part of the problem is these guys are used to a certain level of representation.
Having it all.
They're used to going to movies and seeing the person
A fucking
leading
lie.
the charge. Leading the charge is an
lie.
idealized version of how they see themselves.
Yes,
The
and
Last
it's
Samurai.
exploitation. It's
Yeah.
exploitation. They're exploiting. They're lying to you. They're lying to you. They're exploiting your labor, white men. They're
Mhm.
exploiting your labor, and they're exploiting your idealism to get some
Oh, and
to enforce the status quo, to keep you from having any meaningful, purposeful life, so that they can keep using your labor to enforce a system which you will never benefit from. Jesus Christ, you are alienating yourself from your own human experience by demonizing people who have less privilege than you. Instead, you can have meaningful experiences and live a life that has purpose and change and creates a sense of self and wonder and joy. See, I'm not preaching happiness, because happiness is a lie.
No,
but
yeah,
I'm going to
happiness is a lie. Happiness is a lie. But to get to the root of this, the reason
I love it.
the reason you guys are having problems identifying with characters that don't inherently look like you is because you don't see them as fully human. You don't see them as on the same level. You don't see women or people of color on the same level that you do. It's an inherent bias, and it might not be your fault.
It's not your fault.
You need to recognize that.
And you white men are being
and you need to work on it. You're not going to,
really need to work on it, because the world is fucking changing.
Okay, you know what? To go to this cult of individualism, do the work.
Yeah.
You are the only one who has control over yourself. Do the work.
Let me use one of their favorite people that they like to listen to, your philosopher that you love to listen to, and that's where we're going to end it on this one.
No.
I'm going to refer to Dr. Jordan Peterson.
Yes! Let's do this.
Shitlords, clean your fucking room.
Galaxy.